Roll call, please, Mary Beth.
Nelson. Here. Lyons.
Here.
Mosier. Here. Vermeer. Beeler.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Peterson.
Next thing on the agenda is presentation, Sharifa Jones with the Chamber. Is there a green light?
Now it's on. Perfect. Presentation means I'm going to just do a real quick overview. No PowerPoint tonight because I know everybody wants to get outside and enjoy the sunshine. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who supports Flag Fest. Certainly all of the city departments and heads, this would not happen without the support that we receive from the city. Certainly there's so much that you all do that we would not be able to do on our own. So from Public Works to the PD, everyone that helps with that. So thank you. Also, thank you to the businesses and organizations that had a parade entry. Certainly that makes the parade what it is. We do think it was probably one of the best attended parades for Flag Fest, probably since 2021. I know I'm usually stationed at 14th and Grand, and the crowd was pretty thick. So again, appreciate everyone coming out and supporting that, as well as the many other activities that we had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It definitely is one of those that takes the community involvement. Flag Fest is, the chamber pulling it all together and marketing a group of activities. And so what I would encourage others is that if you want to get involved in the community, or if you think there's a place for you, to certainly reach out to those organizations. That's always much more beneficial. And we appreciate phone calls, as I'm assuming all of you appreciate phone calls versus, some of comments on social media and things like that. So organizations are always looking for people to get involved. And if you think that you are able-bodied and can help out, maybe it's even helping with some social media marketing or serving on a board or a committee, I would just encourage individuals to help out and get involved in their community. Flag Fest is a lot more work than what probably meets the eye. And in fact, we generally start some of its planning about the week after, 2 weeks after it's commenced. So again, chamber staff, they also did a great job in planning and making sure that everything runs smoothly. At the end of the day, our priority is to make sure that it's a fun-filled activity and that it's also completed and everyone is safe. We've had some complex situations in the past where there's obviously large trucks, transportation. We have animals going out at the fairgrounds. This year, thankfully, I don't think there were any animals that got out that impacted the parade. So that's always a great thing. And a huge kudos to the marketing team at the chamber. We had individuals from Germany and Pennsylvania that are visiting the area that found out about Flag Fest. They knew about it. And also we had a runner from Honolulu in the 5K. So really pretty fantastic in terms of participation from outside of Spencer. In other news, business development, we continue to work with several businesses, both that are for sale, those that are looking at what that succession planning might be so that they can be prepared when the time does come for them to retire. Clay County Leadership Institute is the next item that I wanted to just mention. We have 4 spots remaining. It is limited to 14 attendees. I know several of you up at the dais have attended it. It does close June 30th. We have put a deadline on that at noon. We do usually give out 2 scholarships for that. It's a great networking opportunity, but also really an opportunity to learn about businesses in the community. And we're giving it our all to also make sure that we continue to make improvements to the program. So that includes having other speakers coming in to talk about leadership from their perspective, as well as that you have an opportunity to learn about leaders and leadership from different businesses within the community. And that does start in August and it runs through May. They meet once a month for about 8 hours. We continue to work with SBA and flood recovery, specifically as it relates to businesses. So I would encourage businesses just to stay tuned, as I am going to be putting together a roundtable. I was able to meet 2 other SBA representatives at the National VOAD, Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster, a conference that Megan Hanges and I attended in Reno. and was able to connect with two other individuals, and I'm hoping that it will help a business that is still hoping to apply for SBA, that they will be able to do that. So there's definitely been a handful of challenges. Again, if as a business, if we were not aware of any of your challenges, please do let us know, as I'm gonna be putting together a roundtable for that. And lastly, we just continue to work with workforce retention and recruitment. So I met with a college student today who's hoping to be able to come back to the area. So still looking for an opportunity yet this summer. So continue to connect individuals like that with businesses that may be a good fit for them. And then also hopefully when he graduates in May of 27, that he's able to come back to the area. And maybe it's in Spencer or Clay County and potentially in the corridor as well. And that's all I have for tonight. If there's any questions, I would certainly take those.
Any questions for Sharifa? Well, I'd like to thank you for a great Flag Fest. There was a lot of things going on, and it was hard to get to everything at one time. And but it was very, I would say, a real successful weekend.
Absolutely. And
Congratulations.
thank you. And thank you again, Mayor and Council, for having me tonight. And I would echo that as well. We try as staff to get to everything. And as you can imagine, it's a little complicated to do that. Some of the events we got to, some that we did not. But we always try to make sure that we have a presence and get photos of all of the activities. So thank you again to all the organizations that did have an activity that we were able to help market this weekend. So,
Thank you very much.
all right, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. I just want to make it known as this is a very lengthy consent agenda. A lot of these are CIP items that we have already approved in the budget period. So now it's just finalizing everything for the CIP. That's why these are on the consent agenda. After I read through them, you're welcome to ask any questions you want when I'm finished. So on the consent agenda, item A is approved city council meeting of June 1st, 2026. Item B is license approved renewal of Class E retail alcohol license for Walmart Supercenter, store number 2714, subject to final approval by local police and fire department and also the Iowa ABD. Item C is approved cigarette tobacco license effective July 1st, 2026 for Hy-Vee Food Store, Hy-Vee Fast and Fresh, Dollar General Store, 30,000 2042, Walgreens, 11,153, Brew Oil, number 40, Brew Oil, number 32, Tobacco Vape, and ECIG LLC, Walmart Store, 2714, Casey's, number 2877, Casey's, number 2902, Smoke Shop, Fairway Stores, number 788, Quick Star number 1259, and C's Liquor. Licenses are issued by the state of Iowa. Item D is to approve purchase of a 40 ballistic GH armor rifle plates for the police department from GALS for $8,650. This is a 27 CIP item. Item E is to approve purchase of a 2027 Chevy Traverse 2LT all-wheel drive from H&N Chevrolet for $39,900 for the City Hall vehicle. This is a FY27 CIP item. Item F is to approve pay estimate number 4 for 2025 8-plex nested T-hanger contract number 1 with Graves Construction for $286,172.65. Item G is to approve pay estimate number 1 for 2025 8-plex nested T-hanger contract number 2 with Graves Construction for $11,723. Item H is to approve final pay estimate number 3 retainage to Holstein Excavating for 2024 Northern Plains Regional Landfill driveway improvement project for the amount of $6,366.07. Item I is a resolution to award landfill spray foam project FY27 CIP item to Go Foam It of Emmitsburg in the amount of $42,655.75. Item J is to approve purchase of a 2027 HV 615 SBA roll-off truck for the Solid Waste Department for the North Central International LLC for $232,500. This is an FY27 CIP item. Item K is to approve purchase for a 2021 John Deere 410E off-road truck for the Northern Plains Regional Landfill from D&T Equipment Sales for $301,636. That is at FY27 CIP item. Item L is to approve pay estimate number 1 for the 2026 splash pad project with Woodruff Construction for $84,474.38. Can I get a motion?
Second.
First by Tom, second by Amy. Any discussion?
Can I just make a comment that that was a question about the vehicle? I think it was on the car, just from not taking the lower bid of the $29,546.
I can take that, Mayor. So that bid was thrown out. It did not meet the qualifications. So the qualifications for the bids were for a medium to large SUV. The one that you're talking about was a small SUV from one of the dealers, and so it did not meet the parameters. So therefore, the bid was not considered. So instead of 3 bids, we had 2 bids. So the low bid was accepted. That met the criteria of the RFP.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the agenda? Hearing none, vote by machine.
Reet. Reet. Lauren.
Aye.
Hi, can I get your vote, please, for the consent?
Yes. Aye.
Thank you. Nelson, I. Lyons, I. Mosier, I. Vermeer, I. Beeler, I. Reed, I. Peterson, I.
Consent agenda passes. Item 5 under new business is a resolution declaring the surplus of authorized transfer. First by David. Second by Becky. Any discussion?
Mayor, staff would like to present to the council where the funds are that are surplus that we're declaring and what we're asking you to declare, how those funds were generated and the rationale behind that, and then the potential future use of the funds. So Barb will have some comments, and then Mark White will have some comments as well.
Do you want to hit the mic, please?
The landfill saw excess revenues in 2025 due to the flood of $2 million. So we thought it would be appropriate if we declared a surplus in the landfill and use those funds for the housing program. So we're taking flood money and rolling it back into the community for the housing flood issue. That will still leave the landfill with over $1.5 million after we take the $1.25 million out, plus the reserves, plus all the other funds that the landfill has. Any questions on that? Mark, did you want to adjust the 500,000?
Good evening. You'll notice there's a financial model there projecting the landfill funds. On the last year, the FY26, it shows a deficit of 288. And the reason that is, if you look on the back, there was a cash-funded capital project identified for 500,000, which was, we used raw data when that was projected, and that did not happen. So you'll see that FY26 slide back over to positive 300,000. So It was just with the data that was received to the people that modeled it. And our CIP was a little off the year before, you know, things were on hold, so there was a lot of moving pieces there for a while.
We're gonna leave enough money for another cell if we gotta,
We have a separate fund for cell reserve, so we plan for those regardless. That's our most important project there, so.
any other questions on? Okay. Vote by machine.
Nelson, I. Lyons, I. Mosher, I. Beeler, I. Reed.
Aye.
Peterson, I.
Okay, resolution passes. Item B is approved purchase of an EKOS fleet management software for $24,436.53. First by David. Second by Julie. Any questions?
Kevin, you want to just touch what that's for?
Sure, thank you, Councilman. So this is a software, cloud-based for our mechanics and our public works department, and actually all the departments who have vehicle assets. So if you can picture this, the year is 2026. When a mechanic works on a vehicle currently, there's a piece of paper that's filled out. That piece of paper has 7 different steps in the filing process in 3 different facilities. It's handled by about 4 different people. What will happen now is this cloud-based system, as soon as that job is done, the entirety of the paperwork filing is done. And that's a permanent record then that's stored in that vehicle asset file, available to all of the workers that need access to it in the cloud. And it will also help us track problem vehicles. It'll sense if a vehicle is coming in too often for repairs. It will also help us plan for end of life for CIP items in the future. We feel that based on staffing efficiency, the number of people who don't have to handle the paper and file it and move it back and forth will save approximately $8,000 to $9,000 in labor. So it'll help offset the cost of this. We feel that this is a good purchase for the council to consider, and it moves our fleet management into 2026, not, 1978 or so.
Any other questions? Is that a machine vote? Vote by machine.
Nelson, I. Lyons, I. Mosher, I. Beeler, I. Reed.
Aye.
Peterson, I.
Okay, the purchase is approved. Item C is a resolution to approve quote for installation of an 18-disc golf tee boxes with railing custom concrete for $29,500.
So moved.
First by Amy, second by Tom. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote by machine.
Nelson, I. Lyons, I. Mosher, I. Beeler, I. Reed.
Aye.
Peterson, I.
Okay, item D is a resolution to approve engineering agreement with Cruz Kate Nelson for FY 2026 landfill lift station upgrade project. First by Becky, second by David. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote by machine.
Nelson, I. Lyons, I. Mosher, I. Beeler, I. Reed.
Aye.
Peterson, I.
Okay, resolution passes. Item E is a resolution approving agreement with professional services for the 2026 municipal golf course cart path overlay project with Cruz Kate Nelson. PC is hotel motel tax project, engineering estimate of $300,000. First by Tom, second by Becky. Any discussion? none, vote by machine.
Nelson, I. Lyons, I. Mosier, I. Beeler, I. Reed.
Aye.
Peterson, I.
Resolution passes. Item F is a resolution to provide for notice of hearing on proposed plan specs, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the West 18th Street Trail Segment Project. First by David. Second by Becky. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote by machine.
Nelson, I. Lyons, I. Mosier, I. Beeler, I. Reed.
Aye.
Peterson, I.
Okay, resolution passes. Item 6, the Finance Director Report. Barb?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have uploaded the treasurer report and my monthly report to the agenda packet. I hope you had time to look at that. The month of May, we saw a total interest on our investments of $129,973.40. Our strong reserve balance allows us to earn that much interest, which helps reduce some of our property tax levies because that interest goes right into our operating fund. Reserves also help us receive a favorable bond rating, which enables us to get lower interest rates when selling bonds for projects. It appears that the revenues are at or above the 92% of the amount budgeted for the 11 months of this fiscal year. When looking at the budgeted revenues, you look at revenues by fund rather than department, as our property taxes are levied through various levies that can restrict the class uses. For instance, general fund. The money that goes into the general fund is property taxes, licenses, permits, various fees, interest for those general fund departments, and fines. The general fund funds our library, our parks, fire, PD, comm center, aquatic center, cemetery, and our golf department. Special revenues are the ones that are really restricted of what we can spend them on. We get road use taxes, which has to go to fund the street department. We get special revenues, it's called employee benefits, for the property tax funded departments to pay their insurance or the city's share of their insurance, IBRs, taxes, et cetera. And that's only for the property funded departments and the street department. Next is debt service. That's kind of self-explanatory. We get taxes levied to pay our debt other than what is transferred in there from our business type enterprises. Capital projects, we do not get taxes for capital projects. That generally comes from other departments transferring into the capital project fund and the sale of bonds for large capital projects. The permanent fund is also restricted. Part of that fund, the monies comes from cemetery lot sales to provide for the perpetual care of the cemeteries. There are also trusts set up for the library and a couple parks things that we can only use the interest on those trusts. The enterprise funds, also known as a proprietary fund, are our business type activities, such as the airport, sanitation, landfill, and sanitary sewer. Our expenses are slightly lower than the 92% for this budget year, which is good news. When looking at budgeted expenses, we look at them as functions and not departments. So for instance, a public safety function is your police department, fire, planning department, and we put our flood recovery department in public safety. Public works, the only thing we really have in there is the street department funded out of that. Culture and rec is, once again, library, parks, aquatic center, cemetery, golf. General government is city council expenses and wages, city manager, city clerk, finance department, legal and election expenses, and the city hall building expenses. Debt service, of course, our bond payment comes out of the debt service function. And then capital projects, again, is our large-scale projects and the enterprise funds. We set those off separately because those are our money-making enterprise funds, so we have to keep the revenues and expenses separate. I just thought I would clarify that since we have a few new council members. It's kind of hard to understand at first, so if you have any questions, please reach out. And do you have any questions for me now?
I don't have any questions, Barb, just a comment. Thank you very much for your explanations and your ability to explain things in a way that one may not understand without having some background in financials, such as yourself. I think you do a great job, and we are very, very lucky to have you on staff, so thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Any questions? Thanks.
Thank you, Barb. Engineering report. Ross.
Good evening, everyone. I got a quick report on a few projects. Out at the airport, Graves Construction continues to work on the nested T hangar. They have almost all of the structural steel up and have been working on the interior sheeting that partitions off the each hangar. This week, they plan on working on the roof steel when the wind is not blowing like crazy out there, and then also starting to hang doors. So the project continues to move along. The other project was the 2026 RISE PCC paving project. Pre-construction meeting was held on June 5th. At the meeting, Vanderpool Excavating, who's a subcontractor to Lost Construction, said they plan to start mass grading this week out on 37th Avenue West. And they plan to follow that up with underground utilities starting the beginning of July. So that portion of the project starts. We're still waiting for an updated schedule on 4th Avenue West. And then one other thing, one other project, the lead service line replacement project, which is being administered through SMU. That project involves replacing lead or galvanized service lines. We had a pre-construction meeting last Wednesday. Holstein Excavating is the general contractor. They plan to get started around the first week of August. That project involves replacing water lines to about 240 properties in Spencer. So it's going to be pretty involved, a lot of construction. We've broken the project into 16 groups, and so if people have specific questions, we have a rough time frame of when those groups might be being worked on. So if you want to call our office, we could at least give you a rough idea. But otherwise, that construction is scheduled from August of this year through September of 2027. So, any questions?
On the water lines, is that like a full dig, like a sewer replacement would be, or are they using boring equipment to pull them and run them back?
So half of that project is being funded by SRF money, and SRF is requiring those services to be bored in. They can have small pits, which will be out mostly in the city right away. We don't intend to have pits up next to the structures, so most of it will be bored. Some of it will be open trenched if they're real short lines, but otherwise, hopefully it'll be minimally invasive, so.
Quick question, Ross. Have the 240 some properties, is that something that they've been advised of or received communication, or will it come as the groups get worked on?
So everybody's been notified more than once, I believe, and the majority of them have signed an agreement, which includes an easement to be on their property and some other legal deals. So.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ross.
All right,
What?
thank you.
Wes?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Wes Boyer with Bolton & Mink. With me tonight, before I kind of dive into a couple projects, is Kaylee Kroll. She's an intern with us. It started, I think, a couple weeks ago now. And she is our field rep out at the splash pad. So she's seeing the day-to-day operations on that and keeping notes, et cetera, and doing a great job. So she's from Spencer originally. So for her, that's kind of cool that she gets to work on that splash pad project in her hometown. So yeah, welcome, Kaylee. So she'll probably be with me throughout the summer during her internship at some of these meetings. But speaking of the splash pad, construction progress by Woodruff is going well. Most of the underground piping is done except for the spray feature lines themselves. Got the drains in, the water service up to the splash pad, and so if you were to go out there, you'd see the rock base kind of starting to take the shape of the splash pad. So next will be another subcontractor coming in to start some of the spray feature preparations to get those in, and then there'll be additional concrete down the line. So project's off to a good start. Just an update on that 18th Street Trail segment, that there'll be a public hearing next month at the July 6th council meeting. And then thereafter, we'll do the bidding, and I believe award contract at first meeting in August is the intended plan here. So completion date on that project to be this fall, I think end of October. So should align well, I think, with the bridge project. We've been in contact with those engineers on that project to make sure they kind of jive and come together at the right time. So happy to answer any questions you have on either of those two projects.
Questions?
All right, thank you.
Wes. Next item, city manager report. Kevin.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple items. We've been working on the housing buyout programs. Attorney Self has almost all of the abstracts, and she'll be meeting with residents who are going through that program starting tomorrow. So we're moving right through that. Appreciate the council's support on that. We're ahead of the FEMA buyout program. We're still waiting to get confirmation from FEMA on the timing of those funds. We anticipate, every timeline's wrong, but we anticipate, mid to end of summer, those 25 houses should be moving along through that process. The EDA grant that I mentioned in my email, we've talked about that a little bit before. So that's the economic development level of the federal government. They come in with supplemental funding after disasters a year or so post-disaster, and they focus on commercial and industrial diversification of jobs and resiliency of areas. They look to the future. So the purpose of that organization is if you were to have another event similar to the one you had, they want to fund projects that would help your community get back on track faster, protect jobs that are in the marketplace, and possibly relocate businesses who are in a flood-prone area. So the process we're in for that right now, Jessica has taken over the lead on that. We've applied for and been conditionally approved. Final approval should happen in a couple weeks for a coordinator position for that. It will not be a staff member. What we'll do is request approval to put out a request for proposal and have more than likely a firm will answer those that has a diversified staff to be able to put these projects together for us. The amount of that grant's $300,000. There is a 25% match that we'll need to do locally, but 75% of that will be funded by the EDA. And then they will do an analysis on the community, look at different projects, write those projects, and then submit those projects. So we're excited to start that hopefully here in the next month. Want to thank Ted Carusis at Northwest Iowa Planning and Development. He did the initial application to get us this far. EMS levy, just want to touch on that a little bit. Met with Supervisor Chair Barry Anderson a couple weeks ago. The county still has not yet decided exactly how they want to move the EMS levy organization or the EMS levy funding into what the new services will look like. It's been very well covered in the press, on the radio, and in the newspaper, and hopefully within the next 60 to 90 days, they'll have a better framework of where they want to take EMS, how the new system will look. And once they get to that point, then we'll reconvene the council and the supervisors, I think, have another conversation just similar to the conversation you all had at the beginning of this to interpret the study and expectations and things of that nature. So the ball is in their court. That is a county tax. It's not a city tax. So that tax revenue goes to the Board of Supervisors. The Board of Supervisors then decides how to fund the EMS system. Continue to work on the job expansion and incentives program with the corridor. From the council, Representatives Lyons and Mosier will be invited. I think the invitation's already out to a meeting with local business owners that responded to the corridor, expressing interest to expand the number of jobs that they have, try to recruit people to town. And so the outcome of that meeting will more than likely be refinement coming back to the council, asking for your approval of specific programs and how we want to roll that out. Met with the Corps of Engineers last week. All of the towns on the Little Sioux River were on the call. The Army Corps of Engineers manages floodways, water system, future forecasts, things of that nature. The last one we have here, Mark, was 70, that book is 1970? 1971. So we have a printed copy of a river system study that the Corps of Engineers did in 1971. This would be the next big one after that. And what they will do is they will provide the communities on the Little Sioux River with what's called a cost-benefit analysis, a CBA. What that means is to apply for, say, berm mitigation or protection of our community, the CBA, the cost-benefit analysis, is the key variable that we have to be able to show on our application of how much property will be protected, and then measured back against whatever the cost and the engineering of the actual project is. So that formula ratio is really what determines at the federal level if projects get funded or not. So the first step to this is what the Corps of Engineers is doing now, the timeline. Nothing in flood recovery happens as fast as we like it to. They're conditionally approved right now. Final approval will come from Congress around August. Then the work starts in April of 27. It's a year long. It concludes in April of 28. Then they need to formulate that, publish it back to the communities. So we would get that data mid-2028, and then we would be looking at 2029, 2030 applications for projects to further flood protect the community. So it takes a while, but good news is that we're moving forward with that. Flight breakfast, want to thank the airport board for firing that back up. I think since 2019 it has not occurred, and Tim Steffen said today there was about 700 breakfasts served out there. I know Councilman Nelson was out there. I don't know if anybody else made it out there, but it was nice to see. They also gave about 60 to 70 flights to young people in airplanes through the Eagles program, so good to see that occur. A reminder, July 3rd, we will be closed. That is the observance of the July 4th holiday for the city government. So, right, Mary Beth? July 3rd will be closed. Yep. And that concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you, Kevin. Under Mayor's report, we're going to start off with some board appointments. So I'd like to approve the following board commission appointments effective July 1st, 2026. The library board, Ryan Dotson has agreed to extend his, so his term will expire June 30th, 2030. On the plumbing board, Todd Doyle has decided to extend his term. His term expires June 30th, 2030. And on the utilities board of trustee, Jennifer Irving, term will expire the June 30th, 2032. So can I get a motion to approve those? First by Julie. Second by David. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same side. Thank you, Lauren. Appointments approved. Under the mayor's report, it's been a busy, really busy June with different things going on right now. Flag Fest was, like I said earlier, I would say it was a great success for our town. I got to talk to a lot of different people. I tried to hit as many events as I possibly could, which was an exhausting weekend, but it was a lot of fun. There is quite a few. I know the chamber's doing quite a few ribbon cuttings that'll be coming up that I'm going to try and attend, and ones that I already have. But under the mayor's report, I don't have anything specific besides just, you know, let's keep as a city. Let's make Spencer look even better. If your yard's getting a little out of control, which I'm starting to see a few yards getting a little tall, let's get them mowed, let's get them cleaned up, let's make Spencer look great like we all know it is. So with that, any questions for me? Okay, item 10 is council committee reports.
Okay, Mayor, Personnel Committee meeting, as a reminder, 5:00 p.m. on July 6th. We'll be going over requested policy updates to our handbook. Regular city council meeting at 6:30 on July 6th, and then bring your best smile and your nice Sunday clothes for city council photo on July 20th at 5:30 PM with a regular council meeting at 6:30 PM.
Thank you, Kevin.
Who's on personnel?
I
Be
am,
Amy
and Jim, I believe.
Jim. Item 11 is to approve bills and claims. Need a motion to approve them? First by Julie.
Second.
Oh, Becky, sorry. Second by Amy. Any discussion on any of the bills? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 12, any other business or opportunities to address the council? Seeing none? I need a motion to adjourn. First by Becky, second by Julie, and God bless Spencer. We're adjourned. And vote. Did I miss the vote? All those approve? Okay.